Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. My name is Ron Tyler. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We appreciate you all being here with us today. I'm trying right now to bring up yes, there it is. I just brought up our broadcast on my monitor here. I wanted to do that to make sure, one, we're still on the air, because YouTube has a habit of deleting our program or not even showing it. So I always make sure we're on the air and live with all of you. I'm here with you. I have a lot of information to show you tonight. And quite honestly, this is very pertinent information that could save your life. I'm going to be honest with you. That's exactly what we're coming from. We've got information here that could save your life. Okay, I'm going to talk about some worldwide earthquakes, and quite honestly, again, the United States Geological Survey is not showing hardly anything, hardly nothing. They're not even showing half the world, and the area that they're showing on the map has very little to do with anything. Honestly, it's incredible what they're not showing. Now, I'm going to go over to the map, the USGS map, and show you what's happening. I feel it's pertinent to show it to you. You deserve to see it. And quite honestly, it's incredible what they're not showing. As I said, they rarely show everything anyway. That's why we need to talk about this. We need to be honest with each other. We need to work on what's going on. Okay? Now, the first thing I'm going to tell you is the USGS is showing 319 earthquakes worldwide. Most of those earthquakes are up here off the Kamchatka Peninsula right here. There's nearly 100 earthquakes right here southeast of the Kamchatka Peninsula here. Why? Because earlier this week we had a major earthquake, a very major earthquake. USGS put that as an 8.8. I'm going to tell you this right now. This was closer to a 9.4 magnitude earthquake. I told you I believed it was larger than they said it was. At first, they downgraded it, then they put it back up to 8.8. Guys, it was much larger. I believe it was a 9.4 earthquake. And guess what? Today, we're having very strong 6.0s as well. Let me bring up some of those 6.0s. Actually, that's a 4.5 there. This is a 5.5 large earthquake, very large earthquake. This is a 5.3 large earthquake. This is a 6.1 very large earthquake. 6.1 very large earthquake. These earthquakes are going to continue whether or not USGS even shows us what's going on going through the future. I expect within the next few days to see aftershocks in this region will either be meager or disappear completely, because USGS does not want us to know what's going on. This was a major earthquake. This was a very major earthquake. Regardless of what anybody says about it being a non-natural earthquake, it was. This was a tectonic plate break. This was a tectonic plate break. The Euro-Asian plate here broke here, right where the Pacific plate was subducting underneath it. It broke. Major earthquake. That's what happened. Major earthquake. Yes, this was a natural earthquake. Wasn't caused by HAARP. Wasn't caused by anything but nature. Natural tectonic plate shift. Okay? Now, with that said, I want to now bring up our webcam again. I want to show you what happened out at sea. Again, this was about 41 miles offshore from Kamchatka Peninsula. Kamchatka Peninsula is very sparsely populated. Okay, it belongs to Russia. And in fact, we just had another earthquake there, just off the shore, southern shore of Kamchatka Peninsula. Okay, now I'm going to show you where that is right here. Okay, the red earthquake means it just happened. This is a mid-range 5.5, which means a very large earthquake. 5.0, 5.9 are large earthquakes. 5.5 to 5.9 are very large earthquakes. That's what this was. This is also 41 or 44 kilometers deep. 44 kilometers deep. The 8.8/9.4 earthquake was 6.1 kilometers deep, 10 kilometers deep. We're still seeing earthquakes hit here. These are aftershocks of that quake. Why are we getting aftershocks? The Earth is trying its darndest to get back to the way it was before the main shock happened. As you know, a week and a half ago, we were having 7.4, 7.8 earthquakes here in the same area. Those were all foreshocks, as I said before. Foreshocks. The main shock, they say, was an 8.8 earthquake. I'm saying it was a 9.4. A major 9.4. Similar to what we're going to have in the Cascadia region or north of there in the Haida Gwaii region that we talked about last week. Okay? Major earthquake. Major earthquake. And yet we're going to have it anyway. This is just a part of it. This is just a small part of it, guys. Now let me bring this back and show you what has happened. Okay? Down here to the south, Japan. Again, the USBS is not showing all these earthquakes. Down here in central Japan, basically central Japan. Okay? Notice where this earthquake is. This is a very highly populated area, very densely populated. This, guys, is a 4.8 earthquake, a moderate 4.8 earthquake. As I said before, 4.0, 4.9 are considered moderate earthquakes. This was a moderate quake. This is also 208 kilometers deep. Actually, 209 kilometers deep. Actually, that's not true. It's 209 miles deep. This is a moderately deep earthquake. But look where it's at. It's just west of the Japanese or the Japan Trench here. The Japan Trench. Okay? This area always has earthquakes. Almost always has earthquakes. Look where it's at. It's in this harbor area. And the harbor area is surrounded by homes, apartments, businesses. Yes, this was out in the water. Okay? Normally, the water absorbs the shock waves of quakes. Guys, I believe to the south, they felt parts of this quake. They didn't probably get the whole shock wave of a 4.8, but they did feel this quake. There are felt reports from this quake. Now, we've had reported quakes here before. We've had reports of earthquakes here before. Felt reports. Further north here, right in this area here, we've had 5.0, 5.5 earthquakes, especially right here. Right there. We're going to continue to get these earthquakes here. It's not going to stop. As you know, back in 2011, we had a 9.0 earthquake over here near Fukushima. A 9.0 earthquake here in Fukushima. Japan is not, what should I say? Japan is not even unfamiliar with quakes. Japan has been getting hit with quakes for eons, literally. They probably are more prepared than the United States for quakes. Okay? They still get them. Now this 4.8 here in this harbor area near Tokyo, it happened in the water. It's not the only quake here. There are four other earthquakes here in the Japan region that the USBS is not telling us about. That's kind of normal because the United States Geological Survey doesn't want anybody to know what's going on. I've said it and I'll say it again. The USBS does not want anybody to know what's going on. They're showing fewer and fewer earthquakes every day. Showing fewer and fewer earthquakes every day. Down here in Indonesia, they're showing 2 earthquakes. This is unheard of. There are 36 earthquakes here in Indonesia, and they show 2. This one right here is a large 5.1 earthquake near Gorontalo, Indonesia. This is a very common place for earthquakes. This is a large quake. It's also 74 miles deep. Still a very shallow quake. The other quake over here, I have concerns with. This is a 4.4 earthquake. Why am I having concerns with it? It's over here on the southeast side. The southeast side of Indonesia. We usually do not have earthquakes here. Southeast side of Sumatra, Indonesia. We usually do not have earthquakes here. So this is concerning. Why are we having earthquakes here? I'm going to tell you. This is a 4.4 earthquake. This is 79 miles north of Teluk. Gosh, I hope I don't. I know I'm butchering the name. Telukagu, Indonesia. Okay? Out in the ocean here. The ocean waters absorb the shockwaves of this quake. However, one of the reasons we have earthquakes here, the biggest reason we have earthquakes here in Indonesia, we have 7 different earthquake faults here. 7 different tectonic plates moving here. 7 different plates moving here. Not just here in Indonesia, here in Australia. Over here in the Fiji, Tonga, Samoa region. Going all the way down here to New Zealand. USGS is not showing any earthquakes here in New Zealand. There are 32 earthquakes here in New Zealand. Most of them around the North Island of New Zealand here. There are a handful of earthquakes down here on the southern island here. They're not showing them. They're derelict in duty. Over here in Fiji, this is a 4.2 earthquake here. There are a lot of other earthquakes here as well. Go over here to Vanuatu. This is another 4.8. Okay? This is a 4.8 moderate quake. This is 121 miles deep. Still a fairly shallow quake. It's not the only earthquake here in Vanuatu. Okay? Over here to the west. This is Papua New Guinea. This is a 4.7 earthquake here. 4.7 earthquake off here in the ocean. The ocean waters absorb the shockwaves of this quake. 4.7. It's also 288 miles deep. This is a mid-range earthquake. Mid-range depth earthquake. It's not the deepest. It's not the shallowest. It's a mid-range earthquake. Okay? We're going to have a lot more quakes here. Again, why? Because we have 7 different tectonic plates moving just in this area alone. The largest subduction zone in the world. One plate moving under the other like this. One tectonic plate moving under the other like this. Yes, we have had solar flares. Solar flares contribute to heating up the plates and heating up the earthquake faults and heating up the center of the earth. That's a fact. I believe one of the reasons we've had some of these earthquakes is because that solar radiation comes out of the sun, and envelopes the earth like this. It hits the earth side facing the sun first. Then it engulfs the earth like this. When that solar radiation hits the earth, it goes through our magnetosphere, which is still weak because we're only 2 years into the solar maximum. As we get further into the solar maximum, which lasts on the average of 11 years, when we get in the middle of the solar maximum, then our magnetosphere is going to get stronger by that point in time. Right now, our magnetosphere is weak, allowing cosmic energy, cosmic radiation, solar radiation, other particles, and asteroids into our atmosphere. Okay? When that solar radiation hits our atmosphere, it heats up the atmosphere. It also goes through our atmosphere and goes down to the plates. Goes down to the plates and the earthquake faults, and after that, it enters the center of the earth. Now, when it hits the plates and the earthquake faults, all the gunk and grime that's held those plates and earthquake faults in place is turned into an oily, greasy-like substance. The plates and the faults are held together by friction. When that solar radiation penetrates the faults and the plates, turns all that gunk and grime, all the sand, all the dirt, all the rock into oily, greasy-like substance, which allows the plates to more freely move like this. That's why we're getting these earthquakes. But again, USGS does not even want us to see it. That's why they deleted everything. They don't want to see it. And in fact, let me take you to another place in time. Gosh, I love this. I just love this. Let's go over here to Europe. I'm just waiting to show this to you. Just waiting with bated breath, meaning worm on tongue. That's one of my own dad jokes. Worm on tongue. I want to take you over here to Italy. Good old Italy. Just off the toe of the boot. Italy is shaped like a boot, isn't it? Just off the toe of the boot down here, we have two volcanoes, Stromboli and Mount Etna. Well, guess what? Mount Etna is erupting big time. Big time. There is a video out on the internet of Mount Etna erupting in a huge way. The Mount Etna eruption went up to 8,000 feet high. That's pretty tall, but it's pretty average. Mount Etna has not stopped erupting for a long time now. It's been erupting off and on for about 2 or 3 years now. It's going to continue to erupt. The Stromboli volcano is still active. It's also not been hugely eruptive, but it has been. Basically, Stromboli is a spatter cone compared to Mount Etna erupting, because the Etna eruption spread lava down the side of the volcano. All the ash and the toxic gases went straight up into the atmosphere, and the lava came down the side of the volcano. The Italian Seismological Agency has asked everybody to observe caution around Mount Etna. There have been hikers up on Mount Etna, and in fact, there have been some people on Mount Etna that have gotten very brave. And they've taken sticks and poked the hot lava, taking souvenirs from the mountain. Fact. Fact. But Mount Etna has been erupting, and been erupting in a big way. Now, down over in the Indonesia area, down over here in the Indonesia area, we have about 5 other volcanoes, 5 or 6 other volcanoes that are also erupting. They've been erupting for a very long time. Mount Ibu, for example, has been erupting for a very long time, but it's not the only one. 7 other volcanoes are erupting here. There are about 42 volcanoes worldwide that are erupting. That's one of the reasons I'm so disappointed in the USPS. We have 7 volcanoes erupting down here in Indonesia, and USPS wants us to believe that there are no earthquakes. Whenever a volcano comes up, whenever a volcano erupts, it creates a 5.0 earthquake, a large 5.0 earthquake. Why then is USGS not talking about it? I have serious issues with that, as you know. Also, yesterday down here in Australia, down here there was a 1.4 tremor here, right here in southwestern Australia. But over here in northeastern Australia, right here, there was a 2.7 earthquake right there. 2.7 minor earthquake. The other one over on the west was a tremor. This was a 2.7 minor earthquake. And yet USGS did not show it yesterday, and it's not showing any earthquakes here today. What a joke. But as I said, it's not the only place. They're not showing any earthquakes down here in New Zealand. They're showing very little activity in the Fiji-Tonga region. They're showing almost no activity here in Fiji at all. They're hardly showing anything in Vanuatu. They're showing 1 earthquake. There are 7 earthquakes here in Vanuatu. Fact. Fact. Now, let's go over to South America. 36 earthquakes have hit here in South America. From down here in central Chile here, this is a large 5.0 earthquake today. 17 miles northeast Machala, Chile. 17 miles northeast Machala, Chile. Notice where it's at. It's in the Andes Mountains. Andes Mountains. This is the edge of the craton. This is the edge of the South America craton, the edge of the plate. That's why we get earthquakes here. But like I said, this is not the only earthquake here. 36 earthquakes in South America. Yes, most of them are here in central and northern Chile. Central and northern Chile right here. We have a couple earthquakes in Peru. A 5.0 earthquake hit here in Peru yesterday. But do you think USPS showed us? No. No. We talked about a very large, very strong 6.6 earthquake over here in Guatemala the other day. The same day that we had the 8.8, 9.4 quake up in Russia. 6.6 earthquake hit here in Guatemala. Today, USGS wants to tell us about a 4.8 earthquake here in Costa Rica. 4.8 magnitude moderate earthquake. Interesting. 72 miles deep. This is the Cocos Plate. Hit in Costa Rica, the mountainous region of Costa Rica. That means the people around this area of Costa Rica felt this quake. It hit in the mountains, solid rock. Solid rock more freely echoes seismic energy. That's why everybody around this region felt this quake. They felt this quake. I have friends in Costa Rica. I have friends in Panama. I have friends in Nicaragua and El Salvador. I have friends in southern Mexico. There are 14 earthquakes here in Central America. There are shown us one. There are 42 earthquakes here in southern Mexico. From the border here, Guatemala, all the way up here to Puerto Vallarta. Where are the earthquakes, guys? Where are the earthquakes? I fully expect a major earthquake here in southern Mexico. I believe that earthquake will happen right about in this region right here. It's going to be a 7.0, 7.1 earthquake. After that earthquake hits here, then the next earthquake that's going to hit is going to be over here in Southern California. It's going to be over here in Southern California. It's either going to be here in the Imperial Valley of Southern California, San Diego, or over here in the Los Angeles area. Possibly being right here along the San Andreas Fault. I'm going to come back to the San Andreas Fault in a few minutes because yesterday we had a 4.3 earthquake hit Fontana. I have all kinds of information to show you about Fontana today and yesterday and the day before that and the day before that. USPS wants to say it was a good-sized earthquake yesterday. Then why haven't they showed those earthquakes for the last 3 days? The same kind of earthquakes have been hitting Fontana, not just yesterday, but for many days, even weeks. Fontana is a big deal. It is just barely west of the San Andreas Fault. That's why it's a big deal. We need to pay strict attention to it. Because if we don't, we're going to fail. And a lot of people are going to get hurt and unalived. Fact. I have all kinds of information here about Los Angeles tonight. Yes, I told you we're going to have Preparedness Friday, and I have a presentation for you for Preparedness Friday, earthquake presentation. So please stand by for that. Now, they have one earthquake that just hit here. It's red. It's right here. That's Fontana again. But this earthquake they're showing in Fontana is a 1.5 tremor. A tremor. Folks, what I'm going to show you in a few minutes about Fontana will amaze you. Yes, there are tremors here in Fontana, but there are small 3.0, 3.5, 4.0 earthquakes hitting Fontana today. Not just yesterday, but today. Today. That they don't want anybody to know about. Wild. Anyway, I want to go up to the Pacific Northwest next. There's a lot of information I want to show you tonight, and it's all necessary. It's all necessary. I want to go up here to Seattle first. Okay? This earthquake hit just northeast of Seattle. Okay? This is a minus 0.2 microquake. Minus 0.2 microquake, meaning above sea level. Guess what? This is not above sea level at all. This is 2.7 miles deep. 2.7 miles deep. It's in the hilly region just outside Seattle. It's in a forested region just outside Seattle. 2.7 miles deep. So here again, we have USBS lying through their teeth, trying to tell us it's above sea level. Not unless I am dripping with water. Okay. Yes, this is east-southeast of Lake Marcel, Stillwater, Washington. 0.2 microquake. They're not showing us the earthquakes as I've shown them to you before. They're not even coming close to showing you all the earthquakes that have hit this area. I've showed you earthquakes that have been hitting this area for many weeks now. Every day. Every day. Let's go over here to Mount Rainier. This is very chilling. What I'm showing you now is chilling. Look at the earthquake they want us to see here near the summit of the volcano. This is first. Then I'll show you the earthquakes to the north. It's chilling. The first earthquake is almost directly in the center of the summit. This is a 0.5 microquake. Interesting. They say it's a 0.0 tremor, meaning this earthquake happened right up here at the summit of the volcano, not deeper underneath the lava rock that's sitting there, the plug of the volcano. No, this is a surface quake. Surface quake. 0.5 microquake. Heidi Patrick just gifted 5 EMA memberships to people watching our program tonight. Ladybug Sarah, Michael Rodriguez, Deb Reese, Crate 8, MNT 749 or 7949, and Jasmine Love. All of you have received a one-month membership to our program. If you like those memberships, please thank Heidi Patrick for that. Heidi, thank you very much from me. God bless you for that. Heidi does this out of the goodness of her heart, trying to help promote this program, number one, and trying to help us get the information out again. We appreciate everybody that's watching this program. Also, before I continue, please pay attention to what we're talking about. As I said before at the beginning of our program, a lot of this information can save your life. A lot of this information can save your life. Today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. Presently, we have over 82 people watching our program. We appreciate that. Please tell your friends, your neighbors, your loved ones, your family, extended family, the people you work with, and even the people you associate with on social media. Tell them about this program. This is probably one of the most important programs that you're going to see. We try to save lives here on this program. We give you disaster and emergency information to save your lives. That's why we do this program. What I'm showing you right now are earthquakes at Mount Rainier. These are not the only earthquakes. They're not the only earthquakes. Also, please give us a thumbs up if you like what we're showing you. If you appreciate the information we're showing you, give us a thumbs up. Okay? Also, just on the bottom of your screen here, you see our PayPal locations. You can give us a donation through those PayPal locations if you appreciate what we're showing you today. Also, our mailing address is here. 504 Bethel Road, Box 5401. 504 Bethel Road, Box 401. Morganton, North Carolina. The zip code here is 28655. Also, You see our email address as well. We put that there so you can leave us comments, questions, or concerns you have with this program, or even suggestions what you'd like to see us cover here on this program. We'd like to know that. When you send us letters and cards, you can also enclose a donation in the center of your letter or in the center of your card. We'd like to know what you're thinking, what you are doing to prepare yourselves and your family for what's going to happen. We'd like to share that information so everybody knows not what you've done, but what they can do to help themselves prepare for emergencies and disasters. That way we share with everybody. It's vital information. So please do that. You can enclose a check or even cash in the center of your card or letter. That way nobody sees it. We'd appreciate that very much. Now, getting back to these earthquakes at Mount Rainier. They're only showing 3 earthquakes here near the summit. These other 2 earthquakes are on the outer part of the summit, the rim of the crater. This is a 0.6 microquake here. This is 1/10 of a mile deep, right underneath that plug of the volcano. This other quake here is astounding. This is a 0.8 microquake as well. Again, 1/10 of a mile deep. Interesting how they do that. Right beneath the lava plug. There's magma down there. The magma is hammering away. The magma there is hammering away on that lava plug. Consider my hand here as a plug. The plug is probably, I want to say, maybe 600 or 700 feet thick. Big, huge lava rock left over from when the mountain last erupted. When the mountain last erupted. That lava coming up from underneath is hammering away at that plug. As that magma is hammering away at the plug, what happens? Fissures or cracks develop in that plug, don't they? There's a simple physics experiment going on here. As that magma is hammering away at the plug, causing these fissures or cracks to develop in the plug, 6 to 7% of magma is water. 6 to 7% of magma is water. So we have water vapor. We have water vapor escaping the magma below it, coming up through the plug like this. Coming up through the plug like this. When you have hot vapor, when you have water vapor coming through cracks like this, it expands the cracks to a bigger portion of the air, allowing more and more water vapor to come through those cracks. What's going to happen? At some point in time, as that magma continues to hammer away at that plug and the cracks develop and get larger and larger, that lava plug is going to blow out. Then we're going to have a catastrophic eruption at any of these volcanoes. We've been talking about Mount Rainier and particularly about Mount St. Helens, both of which are at the brink of an eruption. Yet USGS is not telling us about it. USGS has leaked information to the news media of what's happening, but they're still not being honest with the public about it. They're still not being honest at all. They're not telling anybody the real danger, what's happening. I believe I am the only person here in social media that is showing you the seismograms and showing you the extent of what's going on. I'm the only one. But as I said, that water vapor, that gas is coming through that big, huge plug. And you can see vapor clouds above the mountain all the time, almost every day. I've shown those pictures to you in the past. Happens every day. There's gases there from the magma. SO2, sulfur dioxide gas, and CO2 exiting the magma here. SO2 is a yellow type of gas. The CO2 is colorless and tasteless. The SO2 is not colorless or tasteless. It smells like rotten eggs. They have people up on the top of the mountain. Scientists and hikers are up there. But they've also issued an advisory. Hey guys, you need to stay away from the summit. Mount Rainier is shaking. But they're still not being honest with the public of exactly what the dangers are. Mount Rainier is going to erupt. It's going to erupt in a big way. The problem is this. Let me pull this map of Mount Rainier down. Look at this. This is the north side of the volcano. The northern flank of the volcano. Here we're seeing this is a 0.5 microquake, 0.3 of a mile deep. This is a 0.4 microquake, 0.3 of a mile deep. This is a 0.4 microquake, 0.2 of a mile deep. This is a 0.4, 1/10 of a mile deep, just below the surface. This is a 0.4 microquake, 1/10 of a mile deep. This is a 0.7 microquake, 0.3 of a mile deep. This is a 0.6 microquake, 0.4 of a mile deep. This last one here that they're showing is a 0.5 microquake, 0.6 of a mile deep. You might ask me, why, Ron, are you showing these earthquakes here? The depth, guys, look at the depth. These are right below the surface. What have we been telling you about Mount Rainier? There just happens to be a bulge on the side of the mountain. There just happens to be a bulge on the side of the mountain. Just like Mount St. Helens had when it erupted in 1980, blowing out the side of the mountain. That's what could happen here. Again, all of these quakes here are showing magma near the surface. Magma near the surface at the bulge. This should be very concerning to everybody. And why is USGS not telling everybody verbally what's going on and coming up on the news media and showing them what's going on? Because they don't want to tell the truth. They don't want to tell the truth. They don't want people to know exactly what's happening because they know there's danger and people will get out of the area. People will leave. Folks, just like we have in Japan, around that one moderate quake in the harbor of Japan. Millions of people live around Mount Rainier. Millions. And this is just not the microquakes that are hitting here today. They're not telling everybody about the tremors, all the tremors. These are just microquakes. They're not telling anybody about the tremors. They're not telling anybody about the minor earthquakes. They're not telling anybody about the small 3.0, 3.5, 3.9 earthquakes that are happening. Yes, these quakes today are microquakes around the bulge, but they're right beneath the surface. right beneath the surface. Mount Rainier has been expelling ice and snow around the summit area, expelling it. That's because the mountain is heating up. Why? Because of the magma going up inside the volcano. The magma going up inside the volcano. So the entire mountain is shedding ice and snow. It does this every year, but it's shedding more ice and snow than normal. Folks, I'm not going to tell you to leave, but I'm telling you the truth of what's going on. I've shown it to you on the seismographs before. I've shown you the microquakes. I've shown you the tremors, and I've also shown you the earthquakes as well. Put two and two together of what's going on. Not just at Mount Rainier, but as I said before, Mount St. Helens as well. Mount St. Helens as well. Down here in the northern foothills here, this is a 0.4 microquake here. 16 miles south-southwest of Greenwater, Washington. 1 mile deep. 1 mile deep here in the foothills of the volcano. Think about it. Why are they showing only this earthquake here at Mount St. Helens? Actually, two. The second microquake here wasn't showing earlier today when I saw this picture here. Right here. This is a 0.2 microquake here at the summit of Mount St. Helens, the northern summit of Mount St. Helens. This is 3.6 miles deep. This is a surface quake. This is allegedly a surface quake, but it's not. They call it a 0.0 quake. Usually they see this and it's a surface quake, but it's not. This is actually 3.3 miles deep inside the volcano. Again, these are not the only earthquakes that are hitting Mount St. Helens today. Again, the agency's not showing you the minor tremors. They're not showing you the minor earthquakes. They're not showing you the smaller earthquakes that have been hitting both of these volcanoes for a long time now. We've even had 4.0s, 4.5 moderate quakes. As I said earlier, when a volcano erupts, usually we see a 5.0 large earthquake hit when it erupts. What happened at Kamchatka volcano after that 8.8, 9.4 earthquake happened off the coast? Kamchatka erupted. A 5.4 earthquake hit there. Yes, it was a major eruption, well up into the stratosphere. That's what's going to happen when these volcanoes erupt, both of them. Both of them. Okay? Everybody that has ears, let them hear. Everybody that has ears, let them hear. Ruthie's asking, this is a question, guys. Are there any active volcanoes in Hawaii besides Kilauea? Oh, yeah. Yes, Kilauea is still erupting. But last year, did you not hear that Mauna Loa to the north of Kilauea erupted? Yes, Mauna Loa erupted for 7 days. Then the eruption stopped. But they're still not showing all the earthquakes around Kilauea. They're not showing all the earthquakes at Mauna Loa. They're not showing earthquakes at Mauna Kea to the north of Mauna Loa. There are actually more earthquakes at Mauna Kea than Mauna Loa. They're not showing those. Mauna Kea has not erupted, but it could. It could. They're not showing those because they don't want anybody to realize what's going on. They never do. Mauna Loa had to erupt before they told anybody about it. They could have told the public about Mauna Loa before it erupted. They didn't do it. They kept that information secret so nobody could figure out what's going on. Fact. You can take that to the bank as well. There are other earthquakes throughout Washington and other earthquakes throughout Oregon. They're not talking about them. They don't want anybody to know what's going on. Now, I've talked about earthquakes along the Cascadia subduction zone region from north to south. They continue happening. They continue happening. Before I go back to Southern California, right here, I want to talk about what's going on. See this red earthquake here? This is Alder Springs, California. We've had quite a few earthquakes like this for months now. This is a 2.1 minor earthquake here. Alder Springs, California. You need to pay attention to this. You need to pay attention. When earthquakes like this happen, it's not the first and not going to be the last. But when earthquakes happen, usually means something else is afoot. Think about it. Think about it. Now we can go south here. See all these earthquakes here, these swarm earthquakes? This is normal. This is absolutely normal. This is Sonoma Valley, California, Sonoma County. You see a lake there. That's called Clear Lake. It's also a volcano, the Clear Lake volcano. Men down here in Sonoma County drilled into the upper magma chambers of that volcano to pull steam from the upper magma chambers to power turbines here in Sonoma County. Yeah. We have seismic energy coming off the Pacific Ocean. When the seismic energy hits here in Sonoma County, guess what? Every one of those holes in the earth that men drilled to obtain steam from the volcano turned into a man-made earthquake fault. That's why we have so many earthquakes in this region. Seismic energy comes off the Pacific plate, comes over here and causes earth movement. Whether we drill for steam from a volcano or from oil and gas, every one of the drill points is a man-made earthquake fault. Fact. Fact. Every one of these earthquakes are a result of men drilling into the upper magma chambers of that volcano to harvest steam, to turn turbines, to generate electricity here in Sonoma County. 5 energy conglomerates are here. 5. One of them is Pacific Gas and Electric. If you haven't already seen the papers in the news media in the past, Pacific Gas and Electric has been causing problems, not doing the things they should be doing, not taking money that the company is earning and repairing their electrical lines, their substations, or the capacitors on the poles. And as a result, every time the wind blows, it causes a spark, igniting the brush around the electrical pole, causing fires. Yeah. Some of the fires came as a result of activity here in Sonoma County, California. Yes, it's a true statement. Not all, but some of them. Some of them. But it's just not Pacific Gas and Electric. California Edison. One of them also is Rocky Mountain Power from Utah, drawing electricity from what is being done here. Okay? Turbines throughout this area. One of the turbines is right here. I just pulled this up. There are 8 turbines in each bank here. 8 separate turbines in each bank, generating electricity here. See these roads here? See these roads? Alongside each of these roads are plastic PVC pipe carrying steam from the volcano over this turbine facility to generate electricity. Fact. Right outside this facility here, and I wish I could zoom in closer to it, but right outside this facility are some of the drill points here. Yeah, the drill points, the holes in the ground. The same thing is true right here. Drill points. Drill points. Every one of these earthquakes are a result of drilling into the ground to obtain steam to power these turbines. Doesn't mean that each of these holes are currently active. They may not be using these holes right now, but they have. But that's why these earthquakes are happening. This is normal. These normally are just minor tremors and minor earthquakes. This earthquake right here, that I just lit up here in blue, this earthquake right here is a 1.1 tremor. 1.1 tremor. This earthquake here is 1.3 tremor. Right down here to the southeast, this is a 0.7 microquake. Microquakes, tremors, and minor earthquakes are usually here. Yes, we have had large earthquakes here. 3.0, 3.5 small quakes. We have even had a 4.5 moderate earthquake here in the Sonoma County, California area. As a result of what's going on here. That's normal. That's normal. This is San Francisco Bay. As I have explained before, the San Andreas Fault runs from off the coast of Petrolia, California. It connects with the Cascade Subduction Zone. December 23rd, 2019. There was a conference of seismologists and geologists talking about Cascadia. The professor of geology and seismology at the University of Oregon, he told the gathering there in San Francisco that the Cascadia megathrust earthquake could trigger the San Andreas Fault. Could trigger the San Andreas Fault. Here in San Francisco, runs along the coastline, just west of the San Francisco Bay. You're seeing it right here in your picture. Yes, over here on the Hayward Fault. Over here on the Hayward Fault, we have an earthquake. This near Moraga, California. I have cousins. That live all over this area. This is a 2.0 minor earthquake on the Hayward Fault. In 1989, we have the baseball earthquake, San Francisco Bay. The Hayward Fault triggered that earthquake. That 6.9 earthquake, they say, was really a 7.5 major quake, causing major damage here, collapsing the San Francisco Bay Bridge, breaking gas piping, gas mains, and water mains throughout the San Francisco Bay area, making people unalived. I believe 119 people died as a result of that earthquake. And the infrastructure around San Francisco broke to the tune of billions of dollars. It's going to happen again. When the San Andreas Fault transmits the cascading energy down all the way to the Mexican border. Major cities such as San Francisco, Monterey Bay area, that energy is going to be transferred south here. Right here is the Pinnacles. This is just south of Monterey Bay on the San Andreas Fault. Energy is going to come down here. This is a 1.5 tremor here in the Pinnacles. The Pinnacles is on the fault, but also we have oil and gas drilling here. Think what's going to happen here. Around the Pinnacles, we have other cities here as well. Paso Robles, Tres Pinos. About 5 years ago, we had a 5.1 earthquake in Tres Pinos. That large 5.1 earthquake broke a gas oil pipeline at the oil refinery just outside Tres Pinos, causing a major fire. 5.0 large earthquakes to 5.9 large earthquakes can cause a lot of damage. And that's exactly what happened here 5 years ago, Tres Pinos, California. The San Andreas Fault goes south here, as you can see. Continues south past Santa Maria. My parents, when we moved to San Diego in 1972, we stopped in Santa Maria because one of my dad's friends worked there and lived there. We also considered moving to Santa Maria. We ended up in San Diego. Long story. Again, the San Andreas Fault runs east of Santa Maria, runs east of Santa Barbara, major cities here in California, huge cities here in California. It continues south past Santa Clarita, continues south east of Los Angeles. We have an earthquake here on the map. This is near Azusa, California. 1.1 tremor. This earthquake here is a 1.5 tremor in Fontana. But I'm telling you right now, that 4.3 earthquake in Fontana yesterday, they're continuing today. They've been happening for some time, but USGS and Caltech just got around to telling people about it. We've had 3.0, 3.5, 4.0, 4.5 earthquakes in Fontana for some time, and I'm going to prove it to you tonight. Fact. The San Andreas Fault continues down south here. This is Cabazon. I'm going to show you a seismogram showing minor tremors here in Cabazon. It continues south here, all the way down into the southern Imperial County here. This is the northern part of Imperial County. When the San Andreas Fault enters the Imperial County, they term it the Imperial Fault. The Imperial Fault. But it's the same fault as what we call the San Andreas. Same name. Same name. The fault continues down here on the east side of the Salton Sea. I'm going to show you tremors over here at North Shore here, just north of the Salton Sea here. I'm going to show you earthquakes here at Bombay Beach. Earthquakes here at Bombay Beach. I'm going to show you earthquakes down here at Calpatria. Calpatria. They're not showing you anything here, right? Nothing. I'm going to show you earthquakes today, Calpatria. Earthquakes all over. We used to have a seismograph that still might be here, over here in Westmoreland, on the southwestern side of the Salton Sea here. They've turned the Westmoreland seismograph off. They turned it off. Interesting. Fascinating. They turned it off. My question to them is why? Why'd you turn it off? This is Brawley. They do not have a seismograph here in Brawley, but I'm telling you this, there are earthquakes here. There are earthquakes here. There are earthquakes down here in the town of Imperial. There are earthquakes down here in Imperial. Yes, it's called Imperial Valley, but they also have a town called Imperial here. I'm going to show you earthquakes here. Let's continue down here to El Centro. El Centro. This is probably a city now of 50,000. Used to be 25 back in the 70s and 80s. I spent some time here in El Centro. I've also taught classes here at El Centro Naval Air Station. I taught their military police here how to work traffic accidents and make sure their paperwork was legal for insurance companies to use to help people in accidents. I taught them how to work accident scenes. Like I said, I know all about this area. I'm very familiar with it. Now I'm going to take you down Holtville. I want to tell to you about Holtville. Holtville. Holtville is a nice community. Holtville is a very unique community. We have a seismograph here. It's called the Salton Sea Desert Research Station here in Holtville. I'm going to show you about earthquakes here. Earthquakes here in Holtville. They're not showing any earthquakes at all here in the Imperial Valley. On a daily basis, we probably have close to 500 earthquakes here, just here in the Imperial Valley. Not just in San Diego. San Diego has its own earthquakes over here. San Diego has its own earthquakes. Los Angeles also has its own earthquakes. Los Angeles itself has about 400 earthquakes a day. 400 earthquakes a day. Why are they not showing them here on the map? Because they don't want anybody to see what's actually happening. That's the gosh awful truth. They don't want anybody to see it, because then they will know exactly what's going on here. And I promise you it's not going to be pretty. I promise you it's not going to be pretty. Fact. Fact. Does anyone have any questions for me before I show you these seismographs? Because I want to show you exactly what's happening. You deserve to know what's happening. You deserve to know what's happening, and you also deserve to have the right to make choices for you and your family. You have that right. And they're trying to take it away. They're trying to take it away. When we have 900 earthquakes a day in Southern California, and they're taking that away, they're giving everybody in Southern California a chance to die, get hurt, be separated from their family for days, weeks, months, and even years, or for the rest of their lives. They're taking the decision-making power from you. And all of you deserve to know what's exactly happening, so you can make decisions for yourself and your families. That's why we put up this information every day. You have that right. You have the obligation to be able to make decisions for yourselves, not having it forced upon you by some agency that has no clue what's going on. Some agency that decides for you what they want to show you. This seismogram here is Fontana today. This is a seismogram from Fontana today. Look at this. Yes, the smaller events here on this seismograph are tremors. That's true. But look at the earthquakes hitting here. You need to see this. Look at the earthquakes hitting here in Fontana today. 3.0 small quakes, 3.5 small quakes, 4.0 earthquakes as well. Yes, fact. Fact. Let's go over here to this green line here. This green line here is 1245 on the left-hand side. Where we have all this activity on this green line, this is about 12:55 p.m. this afternoon. Today, 3.5 to 4.0 earthquakes right here. Today, this afternoon. Fact. You can see it here. You can't see the entire length of the earthquake because the colors of the other seismic energy that happened after that are covering up the color green. But you can see the top of it. 3.5 to 4.0 earthquakes here. It could be larger than that. Could be larger than that. Look at the activity at the bottom. Look at the activity at the bottom. Look at those long lines there. Those are not just tremors. Those are not the tremors that they were trying to show you on the USGS map in Fontana today. These are earthquakes, and don't let anybody tell you. USGS tries to tell everybody, oh, that's background. That's background. No, the tremors are background. The tremors that they were showing you on the map are background. This is what's really happening. These are the same earthquakes that can hurt you. These are the same quakes that can make you unalive. And yes, the seismic energy is building. The seismic energy is building. Let's look at the blue line over on the right-hand side, just above the last one. Just above the last one. Look at that earthquake there. That is at least a 3.5 earthquake. That is at least a 3.5 earthquake. That happened after 4 p.m. That happened after 4 p.m. You tell me what's wrong with this picture. Look at the bottom line. Look at the blue and green lines at the bottom. 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes here. 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes here. All of them. All of them. But they're only showing a microquake on the USGS map in Fontana. Survey's saying, talk about melting crayons here. Yeah. The color images here are real. They're showing actual seismic energy. It's not background. The dadgum microquake that USGS showed on the map, that's background. They'd like you to believe that nothing's going on. I'm showing you otherwise. I'm showing you otherwise. Let me show you the seismogram from yesterday. This might blow your mind. Yeah, you might say I get a little bit animated when I talk about this because they are not being honest. They don't want you to know what's going on. I do. As I said, I believe you have a right to know what's happening. This seismogram right here shows you a 4.3 earthquake. This one is the one that happened yesterday. That happened yesterday. Let me show you another one. This is the day before yesterday. Look at this. Look at all this energy here. They can say there's only a 4.3 earthquake there yesterday. Really? Really? It never happens like that? It never happens like that. Really? Look at all these earthquakes here. This seismic energy has been happening for a long time now. It's not microquakes. Yes, there's probably microquakes somewhere on this. There's some tremors here. You can see that. But there's also minor, small, and even moderate 4.0, 4.9 earthquakes here. They only wanted to tell you about it yesterday. Why not? Why did they only want to tell you about it yesterday? Why? Inquiring minds want to know. I want you to know. Again, you deserve to know what's happening. This is Fontana today. This is what's happening in Fontana right now. It's been happening all day long. Look up here at the top on the black line. You see some 2.09 earthquakes. Yes, you see some microquakes and small tremors here. But these longer lines have something to be dealt with. On the black line at the right, you can see a 2.0 earthquake sticking up. On the next red line, you see some minor earthquakes and also some small earthquakes as well, sticking up there. Small being 3.0, 3.5, 3.9. Let's go down to the first blue line at the top. You see several blue lines sticking up here. The first blue line is about 5:32 a.m. this morning. That's a 3.0 earthquake. The second blue line to the right, that occurred at approximately 6:35 this morning. Or I'm saying 5:35 this morning. 3.5 earthquake. 3.5 small earthquake. Look at all these other earthquakes hitting here. Yes, there's a lot of color mixed in here. But in my book, there may have even been 2 to 3 4.0 and larger earthquakes here today in Fontana. There are also smaller quakes, minor tremors, and microquakes. They're all here. I've shown you 3 days of activity. Guys, I promise you this has been happening for several weeks now. Several weeks. Minor tremors, minor earthquakes 2.0, 2.9, and 3.0, 3.9, and even 4.0 earthquakes. And they just want to tell us that the 4.3 actually happened only once. Yeah, that's what they want us to believe. There was a interview that ABC News did of a seismologist there in Los Angeles talking about the Fontana earthquake yesterday. Oh, this doesn't happen very often. This is the only time it's happened. That's what he said. He said it was the only time it's happened. I'm here to tell you it's happened a lot. And you can see it here. They don't want you to see what's happening. Trish Killian's in the chat saying she has to leave. She has an appointment. Great show. See you tomorrow. Trish, we won't be on the air tomorrow unless something happens. We try to take Saturdays off. And I'm telling all of you this. We try to take Saturdays off, but occasionally something happens. And we do come on the air on Saturdays and Sundays. Sunday at 12:30, actually closer to 12:30, we try to come on the air with Come Follow Me, the Savior Said, a Sunday school class we teach for everybody that wants to learn more about Christ. Yeah, we do that. Then after the Sunday school class, we'll come on the air and talk about other things that have happened. Okay? Saturdays and Sundays, we take the day off unless it's our Sunday school class or unless something big happens. We do that all the time. But here in Fontana, it's just not tremors. They might want to say it's a 1.5 tremor in Fontana, but you can plainly see that it's a lot more than that. They're lying through their teeth. Richard Smith says a 1.5 tremor just happened in Fontana a few minutes ago. There are a lot of 1.5 tremors. There are 2.0 earthquakes, 2.5, 3.0, 3.5, 4.0, probably 4.5 earthquakes today. They just don't want to talk about it. I do. Because people's lives are in the balance. And again, Fontana is just west of the San Andreas Fault. That means a lot. As I said before in an earlier broadcast of this program, the San Andreas Fault is locked and loaded. Yes, we are seeing seismic energy being transmitted from the fault. You can see it. But it's not being transmitted as it should be. We are about to see a major earthquake on the San Andreas Fault within the matter of even days or weeks. I think it'll be between now and the end of August when we see a major earthquake on the San Andreas Fault. I could be wrong. It could take a little more time than that, but I don't think we're much wrong at all. Everybody needs to prepare. Everyone needs to prepare. It's not just a San Andreas Fault. Let's look over on Channel Island off the coast of Los Angeles. Look at this. Look at this. Yes, we're seeing tremors here. We're seeing microquakes. We're seeing minor earthquakes, 2.0, 2.9. But look at that earthquake on the bottom blue line here. Look at that earthquake on the bottom blue line. That is a 3.2 earthquake. This is a 3.2 earthquake on Channel Island. This is not the first time. Several weeks ago, we also had a 3.2 earthquake in the same morning. This is this afternoon. This earthquake happened just after 11, I want to say 11, 2, 3, 4, 5, after 11:35 this morning. 11:35 this morning, 3.2, 3.3 earthquake. Channel Island. So it's happening off the coast as well. Fact. Let's move out. Okay? Let's go out to the desert. Bakersfield, California. Look at this. Bakersfield, California on the San Andreas. Look what's happening here. Yes, we're seeing a lot of tremors. Tons and tons of tremors here. Bakersfield on the San Andreas Fault. On the San Andreas Fault. Let's keep going. I told you I was going to show you the seismograph from Cabazon, also on the San Andreas Fault. Look at this. Yes, these are all tremors. The tinier lines are microquakes and minor tremors. But what you're seeing on these individual lines are larger tremors. 1.5, 1.7, and they are long duration tremors. Long duration tremors on the San Andreas Fault. The San Andreas Fault is waking up. The San Andreas Fault is locked and loaded. It's going to pop. Now I want to go further inland, out to the desert area. Look at this. This is Hemet, California. Hemet, California. This is the San Jacinto campus. It's a college, small college campus in Hemet, California. I've shown these kinds of seismographs here from Hemet, California before. I used to teach law enforcement classes here at San Jacinto campus. We're seeing tremors here. We're seeing microquakes. We're seeing minor, tiny tremors. We're also seeing larger tremors here. Not long duration tremors like we saw at Cabazon, but we're seeing tremors here, specific tremors, literally all day long. How about California? This is a San Jacinto Fault. The San Jacinto Fault is just south of the San Andreas. Okay, let me show you Idlewild. Idlewild is in the southern San Bernardino Mountains, also subject to the San Andreas Fault. Again, here we're seeing microquakes and tremors here. There are no earthquakes on this particular seismograph. Again, this is also the San Andreas Fault here. The entire fault is moving. Let's go really crazy into the desert in Southern California. Rancho Mirage, California. Look at this. Also subject to the San Andreas Fault. Here we have a lot of tremors, don't we? Literally all over. Literally all over. No joke. Now, let's go out to Riverside. Riverside is mostly north of the San Andreas Fault, but it's still subject to the San Andreas Fault. We've seen more tremors here in Riverside than now. About 3 years ago, the USBS and Caltech started altering the seismographs here. We used to see larger tremors here and minor earthquakes. We used to see larger tremors here and minor earthquakes. Now, all we see are tiny tremors. Tiny tremors here in Riverside. Guys, the entire San Andreas Fault is acting up. When the San Andreas goes, Riverside will be forever changed. When the San Andreas Fault goes, Riverside will be forever changed. Make no mistake about it. Riverside is a community of about 1 million people, 1.5 million people. The community of Riverside, the city town of Riverside, and the surrounding urban areas will be forever changed when the San Andreas Fault goes. You won't even recognize Riverside after the quake. You won't recognize Riverside after the quake. No joke. Now, let's go south into Los Angeles. North of Los Angeles, we have many communities. One of those communities is Del Amo. Look what's happening here in Del Amo. Yes, we have tremors here. We have a lot of minor earthquakes here as well. 2.0 to 2.5, 2.7 earthquakes here. You can see the activity here on the seismograph, all over. Every day this happens in Del Amo. I show you the seismograph every time we show you Los Angeles quakes. The reason I'm showing it to you today, yes, it's Friday, Preparedness Friday. Yes, we're going to talk about preparedness in a few minutes, but I want to show you what is actually happening in Los Angeles, because what they're saying is happening are two different things. Del Amo, California, just north of Los Angeles, just north of the city of LA. Not forgotten, but Ellis, California as well. Look at this. Yes, you see some minor tremors. We don't see any microquakes here at all. These are minor tremors, all of them, every one of them. But what do you see here early this morning? Let me enlarge this so you can see it. What do you see here just after 6:45? 6:45 is on the far left side on this green line. Now we are after 6:49, 6:50 a.m. this morning. Ellis, California. 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes here. 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes here. And guess what? The seismic energy lasted over a minute. The seismic signal here lasts over a minute, which means everybody living here in this area felt the ground move beneath their feet. No, they didn't lose anything. Yes, the ground moved. The ground moved. This kind of stuff has been going on for quite a while. As you can see on the next line, which is 7 a.m. on the black line there. Go over here to just right of the middle here, right of the center. We have some minor earthquakes. 2.0, 2.5 minor earthquakes. Then we jump down here to the blue line on the left-hand side. That's 7:30 this morning. 2.8, 2.9 minor earthquake. 2.8, 2.9 minor earthquake. You can see other 2.0, 2.4, 2.5 minor earthquakes in other areas here on the seismograph. You can see it. This is real. This is really real. But they don't want you to see this. Heaven forbid. This is Los Angeles, just north of LA. These are the suburbs north of Los Angeles. No joke. How about the Emergency Operations Center in the city building of Los Angeles, right here? This is the same seismogram that we've seen from the Emergency Operations Center here in the city of Los Angeles. The same seismogram we've seen for months now. It hasn't changed. That's because the city of Los Angeles, Caltech, and the USGS doesn't want anybody to know what's going on. About a month or so ago, they let the information out. They actually showed earthquakes in downtown Los Angeles here. This isn't a great big huge tall building in the center of the city, Los Angeles City building. I don't remember the address, but I remember it from seeing it on Dragnet and other shows. Down in the basement of that building is where the Emergency Operations Center is. But again, they've been copying this seismogram for weeks and months. They're not putting out realistic information. They don't want people to have it. They know what's happening in Los Angeles, but they're not willing to share it. At all. Not at all. I just got through showing you Fontana. Let's go over to Laguna, over on the south side at the beach area of Los Angeles. Laguna and Miguel. Look what's happening here. We're showing you tremors from 1.1 all the way up to about 1.4, 1.5 tremors. This is on the beach of Los Angeles, southern Los Angeles, Laguna and Miguel. Actually, it's Orange County. Let's continue this. Let's go over to Mariloma. Mariloma is just south of Loma Linda, where the medical center is. It's also south of Fontana. Look what's happening here in Mariloma. Yes, we're getting tremors, large tremors, 1.5 to 1.9 tremors here. But we are also seeing minor 2.0 earthquakes as well. Mariloma. Now, guys, I'm going to tell you this. I think they've also omitted data here. I also think they've omitted data because when we see a large amount of activity at Fontana, usually that activity is also reflected at Mariloma, California. So I think this seismograph is wrong. I think it's fake. Okay? I want to point that out. Okay? Now let's go over to Moore Park, just north of Los Angeles again. This is a pretty good sized community here in Moore Park. There's a lot of homes, a lot of businesses here in Moore Park. Look what's happening here. Yes, you're seeing some 1.5 tremors, 1.7, 1.8 tremors. You're also seeing some minor earthquakes and two small earthquakes, two 3.0, 3.4 earthquakes here. Up at the top on the red line on the left side. Just after 5:16 a.m., 3.2 earthquake. It wasn't just one quake. It didn't just happen for 1 second. This seismic energy lasts for 10 seconds. 10 seconds of 3.0, 3.3 earthquake movement. Earthquakes beneath your feet, shaking beneath your feet. Down at the bottom on the black line. This is after 12. Actually, this is after 1 p.m. on this black line. I'm sorry, this is 12 p.m. I didn't get 1 p.m. here. I pulled it before I came on air. I pulled it at 3 p.m. our time, or just after 3 p.m. our time, so it's only showing 12 p.m. here. Look, we're seeing minor tremors, and we're seeing a 2.6 earthquake, a 2.6 minor earthquake here. All over this seismogram, you're seeing 2.0, 2.5, 2.6, probably 2.7 earthquakes here. More part of California. As I said before, when the San Andreas Fault moves, it's going to move in a big way. The ancillary faults all over Los Angeles are going to move. You're going to see earthquake energy all over LA. Big earthquakes, 5.0 to 6.9, 5.0, 6.9 earthquakes all over Los Angeles, not just on the San Andreas Fault. Seismic energy is going to be transmitted from the San Andreas all over Los Angeles County, Orange County, also over into San Diego County as well. Okay? Do you know what's happening, guys? This is Moore Park, California, just north of Los Angeles. We're showing it here. How about Mount Wilson? Most of you know about Mount Wilson. There's a telescope on Mount Wilson, an astronomical observatory at Mount Wilson. What do we see here? We see a bunch of tremors and minor earthquakes down at the bottom. Down at the bottom just after 12 noon on the black line. We have a minor earthquake, and just after 12 noon, we have a 3.0 earthquake. We can't see the bottom. We can't see the bottom. Only reason we can't see the bottom is because I pulled the seismogram after that. You see the red line, but you don't see the total bottom of this earthquake. A 3.0 small earthquake here. Okay? Mount Wilson Observatory. Seismic energy all over Los Angeles, guys. There is a reason I'm showing you this. I'm asking you to be prepared. I'm asking you to be prepared. I'm not kidding. I am not kidding one little bit. What I'm showing you is absolute evidence of what's actually happening. I've been showing you this for a long time now. A very, very long time now. Everybody needs to get ready, and you need to get ready immediately. You need to get ready immediately, if not sooner. Let me go out to Walnut La Puente on the eastern side of Los Angeles. Look at this. Look at this. These are 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes happening east of Los Angeles. Walnut La Puente. There just happens to be a volcano here. That's why we're having these earthquakes here. There just happens to be a volcano. And the volcano's active. The volcano's moving. That's why we see 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes, small earthquakes, every one of them. No, it's not erupting. It's not even close to erupting, but we're seeing small earthquakes here. 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes. Every one of these seismic signals here are cut off at the top and cut off at the bottom. That's because the agency is hiding the strength of these quakes. The agency is hiding the strength of these quakes. Again, they don't want us to know what's happening. This is not just one 3.0, 3.5 quake. This is multiple. These are multiple quakes. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 3.0, 3.5 quakes here. And other energy. Tremors and minor earthquakes. This is what's going on at Walnut La Puente. No joke. What I'm about to show you is Los Angeles, Long Beach and Anaheim. Get ready, guys. This will probably blow your mind to a certain extent. I've shown this before to you. I'm showing you now. This is State Street. This is Anaheim, California. Anaheim, California. No joke. Here we're seeing tremors, absolute tremors, 1.2, 1.3, 1.5. We're also seeing some minor earthquakes here as well. Now, usually we have more earthquakes than this. Usually the seismogram is completely full of minor and small earthquakes. These are tremors and minor 2.0, 2.7, 2.8 earthquakes. On the blue line at the top, 1, 2, 3, 4. Just after 5:34 this morning, 2.9 earthquake. 2.9 earthquake this morning, nearly 3.0 small. Disneyland probably had to inspect the rides to make sure the shaking did not damage anything. Every time they have a 3.0, a large earthquake, they have to stop the rides and inspect the entire ride to make sure it's safe. This is Anaheim. Let's look at Long Beach. I know I've got Long Beach here. Just a second. Let me pull it. Right here. This is what they call light height. This is Long Beach. Look at the earthquakes here. It's not just tremors. Yes, we have tremors here, but we have 2.0, 2.5, upwards of 2.7 and 2.8 earthquakes here. You can especially see it at the bottom. Look at the bottom. You can see it throughout this seismogram, but you can look at the bottom as well. This is Long Beach. Okay, it's happening. The whole place is crazy. It's moving. It's moving. Not just on the San Andreas, it's moving throughout the valley. If you think you're safe because you're further west from the San Andreas is transmitting information on other faults. The San Andreas is transmitting other information to the other faults. That's why you see these earthquakes. The entire place is moving. The entire Southern California is moving in a great way. Let's go over to San Diego, just real briefly. City of San Diego. This is Mission Valley. This seismograph is located at the San Diego Gas and Electric Building over in Mission Valley. Look what we have here. You see microquakes here all over. You're also seeing some tremors. Over on the right side on the red line here, you see a 2.2 earthquake. A 2.2 earthquake just before 10:20 10:24 a.m. this morning. 2.0 mine earthquake. This is San Diego City. This is on the Rose Canyon Fault coming out of Los Angeles. The Rose Canyon Fault in Los Angeles connects with the Newport Inglewood Fault. We have seismic energy being transmitted out of Los Angeles to San Diego County. We talked about this before a couple weeks ago. Okay. San Diego is due a 6.9 to 7.5 earthquake on the Rose Canyon Fault. Fact. Let's go out to the Imperial Valley. The Imperial Valley I told you about earlier. Let's go out to Bombay Beach. Look at this. Look at this. Yes, we have a volcano in the southern part of the Salton Sea called the Salton Butte Volcano. This Bombay Beach is located on the San Andreas Fault. These are San Andreas Fault earthquakes in Imperial Valley, Bombay Beach. Look at these earthquakes. The top and the bottom of these earthquake sequences have been cut off because, again, the agency does not want us to see how strong these earthquakes are. Just by itself, on this black line with these earthquakes, by itself, this is a 3.2 earthquake. But we don't know how strong exactly it is because the top and bottom have been cut off. 3.5, 4.0 earthquakes happening here at Bombay Beach. Fact. Fact. This happens every day. This is not just once occurrence once in a while. This is every day. Sometimes more earthquakes than this. Fact. Let's move down to I think what we'll do is go to El Centro first. Look at this in El Centro. Again, this happens every day. These are 3.0, 3.4 earthquakes here in El Centro. One of our EMA family members lives here in El Centro. His name's Juanito. He and his family live here. They feel these earthquakes every day that they hit. They used to hit just once or twice, 3 times a day. Now, they're hitting every few minutes, literally. There are 25 3.0 and large earthquakes here. 25. 25 within a 12-hour period. That comes to at least 2 to 3, 3.0 and large earthquakes every hour. Every hour. Look at that, guys. This is the Imperial Valley. Up until 2 years ago, it wasn't like that. Yes, we had minor earthquakes, 2.0, 2.9. We had tremors. Now we've graduated, in 2 years, we've graduated to having multiple 3.0 large earthquakes here. This is also not reported on the seismogram, on the USGS map, because they are denying it's happening. This is not background either. These earthquakes happen every day. These earthquakes happen every day. Let me go over to the town of Imperial, California. Okay, let's see here, Imperial here. This is the town of Imperial. This is here, we're seeing some tremors, and down here towards the bottom of this seismograph, we're seeing some 3.0, 3.3 earthquakes here. The town of Imperial, guys. This is just northeast of El Centro. the town of Imperial. It's getting hit. Yes, they're seeing some minor earthquakes, they're seeing tremors, but they're also seeing small 3.0 and large earthquakes here. One other place I want to tell you about is not Brawley, but Holtville, California. Back in the day when I was in high school, we had debate and speech tournaments in Brawley and over in Holtville. Let's go to Holtville. Let's go to Holtville, California. Right here. Look what's happening here. Just like Imperial, just like El Centro, just like Bombay Beach. This is Holtville. Yes, we're seeing minor tremors. We're seeing minor earthquakes. But down here at the bottom, this is real. Just by itself on this red line here. This is after, on the left-hand side is 12:15. Over here we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Starting at 12:22, we have some minor 2.0 earthquakes for about a minute, maybe a little bit longer. Then all of a sudden, we have at least 3.0 earthquakes. Just this red line alone is 3.0, but they've cut off the top and cut off the bottom. So again, here in Holtville, we're seeing 3.5, even I want to say 4.0 earthquakes here in Holtville. Fact. They're not showing this either. They're not talking about it. They're not saying, guys, we've had a 4.0, 4.3 earthquake in Holtville. They are. They are having that. But again, they're not talking about it. Heaven forbid they tell us the truth. Heaven forbid they tell us the truth. Earthquakes all over Southern California. Los Angeles, San Diego, and down here in the Imperial Valley. All over this area. Yes, surgery, that red blob is cut off at the top and the bottom. Much larger earthquake. Richard Smith is saying at 1.9, 2.0 earthquake hit in Valencia, California. It's in East Los Angeles. I'm not north of Los Angeles. Valencia, California is in northern Los Angeles. Yeah. At a depth of 9.8 kilometers deep. Approximately 4 miles deep. Earthquakes are hitting all over LA, aren't they? But heaven forbid they tell us about it. Heaven forbid they tell us about it. Now, folks, it's happening. I've shown you that it's happening. It's happening everywhere. Do we need to be prepared? We absolutely do. Could it happen today? Yes, it could. Could it happen tomorrow? Yes, it's already happening. It's already happening. Now, I'm going to give you the information I have here. What you need to know and what you need to do, what you need to think about before, during, and after an earthquake. Before, during, and after the earthquake. What? An earthquake is a sudden rapid shaking. A sudden rapid shaking of the earth. Caused by the breaking and shifting of subterranean rock as it releases strain that has accumulated over a long period of time. As I said before, the San Andreas fault is locked and loaded. Initial mild shaking may strengthen and become extremely violent within seconds. Additional earthquakes called aftershocks may follow the initial earthquake. Most are smaller than the original earthquake, but larger magnitude aftershocks can also occur. Earthquakes may cause household items to become dangerous projectiles, cause buildings to remove off of foundations. They can cause buildings to be damaged completely, damage utilities, damage roads, damage structures such as bridges and dams. There are dams all over Los Angeles, all over the Imperial Valley, all over San Diego County, all over. When these earthquakes hit, they can cause fires, explosions. We've seen it. They can also trigger landslides in low-lying valleys, such as Pacific Palisades. We've seen it happen. They can trigger landslides, avalanches, and tsunamis. We saw that earthquake off of Kamchatka Peninsula cause a tsunami because the ocean bottom moved. The ocean bottom move causes tsunami. When the San Andreas Fault hits, it's not going to cause a tsunami. It's too far inland. But if we had a major earthquake off the shore of LA, Santa Barbara, San Diego, then we could have a tsunami down here. When the Cascadia earthquake hits, it's going to send energy all the way down to northern Mexico. Yes, the entire Pacific Ocean, the entire Pacific plate is going to subduct underneath the North American fault, underneath the North American plate. Where do earthquakes occur? All 50 states. All 50 states and around the world. All 50 states, U.S. territories, and islands and countries all around the world. The risk is higher in identified seismic zones, including the San Andreas Fault in California. Rob52 is here in the chat. Rob, thank you for that super chat. Thank you for your $10 super chat. I just gave you an EMA sticker on your super chat. I also gave you a thumbs up. God bless you, brother. Rob52 is not just my confidant. He's not just a member of our program. He's a dear friend of mine. So just like many of the rest of you. All of you are my friends and family. Rob and I have known each other for many years now. He's my brother. He's my pal. Demon Catman. Sleeping Volcano. Surgery. Don Patoka. Heather. You all are my brothers and sisters, and I love you to pieces. All of you that are here in the chat and watching this program, you're also my brothers and sisters. I care about you and your families, or I would not be even doing this. This is what's happening. Okay? The seismic zones include the San Andreas Fault in California, the Cascadia subduction zone going north into Oregon and Washington, Haida Gwaii seismic zone going off of Haida Gwaii Island, which used to be called Queen Charlotte Island, British Columbia. Alaska, down all the way down to Mexico. Okay? Western Oregon, Washington, Alaska, the Pneumatic Fault, spanning areas in Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi, areas on the East Coast include the Mid-Atlantic states, coastal Southern and North Carolina and New England, Georgia and Florida. Seismic zones. When? Earthquakes can happen at any time of the year and without warning. They can occur without warning, although they usually last less than a minute. Aftershocks following the initial earthquake may occur for hours, days, months, and even years, as we've seen over in Puerto Rico, as we've seen in Turkey, as we are seeing off the coast of Kamchatka Peninsula. Earthquakes cannot be predicted, but we have been able to forecast some of these earthquakes. Okay? Before an earthquake, you need to secure items of your home. Items that can fall or move and cause injury or damage, i.e. bookshelves, mirrors, televisions, light fixtures, computers, water heaters, entertainment centers. You need to secure those things to upright 2x4s inside the walls of your home. That way they're not likely to fall off the walls or off you, onto you or someone else. Move beds away from windows. Secure any items hanging over beds, couches, cribs, or where other people sit or walk, or even where they lay down. Practice this. We've talked about this. This is the correct way to prepare for an earthquake. Practice how to drop, cover, and hold on. When an earthquake hits, you need to drop under a heavy table or a desk. Drop under a sturdy table or a desk. When you do that, make sure your entire body is underneath that table or desk. Then hold on to the legs and make sure that table or desk does not move out where you're not covered any longer. Make sure you're holding on tight to the legs of that table or desk. That way you're covered. That way, if anything falls, it can fall on that table or desk and won't hurt you physically. Okay? Cover your neck, your head, your shoulders, your arms, and get to a safe place nearby that you can get to without exposing yourself. Exposing yourself to flying debris. Crawl to that desk or table. Get underneath it and hold on to maintain cover. To react quickly, you've got to practice this. You need to practice it. Now, while it might seem silly, you need to practice it. You need to know it, and you need to keep going and doing it. That way it will become second nature. You may only have seconds to prepare. You may only have seconds to protect yourself during an earthquake. Store critical supplies, i.e. water, medication, food, and documents. That way you can protect those items. That way you'll have something to eat. You'll have your medication to be able to continue to live after the earthquake hits. Plan how you're going to communicate with family members, including multiple methods by making a family emergency communications plan. Write an emergency plan. Write an emergency plan. We said it 3 times. Not just for communications, but exactly what you're going to do before, during, and after the earthquake. Because while it's happening, you're going to lose your mind. You're not going to remember much. But if it's written down, you're going to remember it. You're going to find it and be able to do what it says. Because you planned it. You may even have to consult a structural engineer to evaluate your home, your business, and even ask about updates to strengthen the building codes. Ask for updates to strengthen building codes in your area. When choosing your home or your business, when choosing your home to buy or rent, check if the building is earthquake resistant per local building codes. During an earthquake, if you're inside a building, drop down onto your hands and knees so the earth doesn't knock you down. Drop to the ground before the earthquake drops you. Cover your head and neck and shoulders and your arms underneath a sturdy table or a desk to protect yourself from falling debris or even flying debris. If you're in danger from falling objects, you can move safely by crawling for additional cover under a sturdy table or desk. If no sturdy shelter is nearby, crawl away from windows next to an interior wall. Stay away from glass, stay away from windows, stay away from outside doors and walls, and anything that can fall on you, such as light fixtures or furniture. Hold on to any sturdy covering you have so you can move with it until the shaking stops. Stay where you are until the shaking stops. Do not run outside. Do not get in a doorway. It used to be that we got in doorways because there's that great big huge piece of wood called a header above the doorway. That header could collapse and hurt, injure, or make you unalive. Don't go there anymore. Do not get in a doorway, as this does not provide protection for falling or flying objects. You may not be able to remain standing either. You may not be able to remain standing because the shaking could become violent and knock you onto the floor. That's why the best thing to do is get as low to the floor as possible. Getting safely to the floor to take cover won't be possible. Getting safely to the floor will be difficult. Make sure your actions before an earthquake to secure or remove items that can fall or become projectiles should be a priority to create safe spaces for yourself during the earthquake. Identify a place away from windows and objects that can fall on you. California, the Neumatin Fault, Oregon and Washington, the East Coast, earthquake country. It's called earthquake country. You need to understand this. Now, again, get as low as possible. Get as low to the floor as possible. People who use wheelchairs or other mobility devices should lock the wheels, bend over, and remain seated until the shaking stops. Protect your head and your neck with your arms, or even pillows or a book, or whatever is available. If you are in a bed when you feel the shaking, stay there. Cover your head and neck with a pillow. If necessary and you have time, get underneath the mattress. Get underneath the mattress. That way, the mattress will protect you from falling or flying objects. Cover your head and neck. At night, hazards and debris may become difficult to see and hear or even feel. Make sure you have shoes right next to your bed that you can put on. You may want to put those shoes in a grocery bag and tie it to the foot of your bed or to the head of your bed, beside the bed. That way you can reach your shoes and put them on, and you don't have to step right directly into glass on the floor or anything else dangerous to step on. Okay? Avoid moving in the dark without seeing where you're going. That could result in more injuries to yourself. The best thing you can do is remain in a bed or under the bed. If you're outside when you feel the shaking, if you're outdoors when the shaking starts, move away from the buildings. Move away from streetlights, utility wires. Stay out in the open. Drop, cover, and hold on. Again, cover your head with your arms and your hands. Drop, cover, and hold on, and stay there until the shaking stops. If you are in a moving vehicle, if you feel the shaking, it might be difficult to control the vehicle during the shaking. If you're in a moving vehicle, stop as quickly and safely as possible and stay in the vehicle. Avoid stopping near or under buildings. You don't want to stop near or under trees, overpasses, and utility wires. Proceed cautiously once the earthquake shaking is stopped. Avoid roads Avoid bridges or ramps that the earthquake may have damaged. After the earthquake, when the shaking stops, look around. If the building is damaged and there's a clear path to safety, leave the building. Leave the building and go to an open space away from the damaged areas. If you are trapped, do not move about or kick up dust. That can cause you to choke. That can cause any air that you might already have to be contaminated. And if you breathe contaminated air with dust in it, you might suffocate yourself. Tap on a pipe or a wall, or use a whistle if you have one. That way rescuers can locate you when they hear you. Once you're safe, monitor local news reports. Monitor local news reports on your television and or your radio. Monitor local news reports on the television or your battery-operated radio. Social media and cell phone text alerts for emergency information and instructions. Check for injuries and provide assistance if you have training. The other thing you need to do is get training before the earthquake hits. Assist with rescues if you can do so safely. If you're near the coast, learn about tsunamis in your area. We just got through doing that this past week. If you are in an area that may have tsunamis, when the shaking stops, walk inland away to higher ground immediately. Monitor official reports from news media on television and radio. Information about the area's tsunami evacuation plans. Use extreme caution during post-disaster cleanup of buildings and areas around your home and around other debris. Do not attempt to remove heavy debris by yourself. Wear protective clothing, including long sleeve shirts, long pants, work gloves, and sturdy, thick-soled shoes during cleanup. Be prepared to drop, cover, and hold on in the likely event of aftershocks. We have a lot more things to talk about when we are putting together an emergency preparedness plan. I've talked about preparedness plans before, not just for earthquakes. Make your preparedness plan about everything, any kind of disaster or an emergency that you might encounter. Write that into your plan. That way, when an emergency or disaster faces you, you can react and react intelligently and forthrightly. And you will know what you're going to do because you've already written it down. But this hopefully will get you thinking about something that you might need to do before the situation happens. That's why we want to talk about this time. Do we have any questions? I know I've come through this very quickly, but I want to make sure we got to this tonight. It's important. These earthquakes are happening. These earthquakes are happening, and they're happening quite frequently. You need to write that emergency preparedness plan. You need to have an emergency preparedness kit as well. Make it happen, guys. Make it happen. Surgery says if you have a wrench handy, turn off your gas and your water. That way your home won't flood. That way your home won't blow up as well. Once you turn off the gas and the water, do not turn it on by yourself. Get a professional to do it. They will check your home. They will check the surrounding area to make sure the water and gas aren't going to leak. They'll turn it on only safely when it is safe to do so. Ernie Martinez is there. Ernie, thank you for being here again. Says Ron is correct about earthquakes. Earthquake bridge is ramps and overhead freeways. Sand came up and blocked my vision, and roads became holes in big earthquakes. Absolutely. That's what happens. You need to be safe out there, guys. You need to be safe. Do we have any other questions or statements before we get out of here? Again, this is Preparedness Friday. We talked about earthquakes sufficiently. Earthquakes are happening all over Los Angeles, although they're not saying one word about it. Over 400 earthquakes have happened in Los Angeles today. Over 500 earthquakes have happened in the Imperial Valley. That's 900 earthquakes in that area between Los Angeles County, Orange County, and the Imperial Valley. Yes, there have been tremors over in San Diego City, San Diego County. Minor earthquakes there as well, but they're not telling us about it. We have over 1,000 earthquakes in Southern California every day, but you'll never hear that from the USGS. They're saying, oh, it never happens. I'm telling you, it does. Rob 52 says install emergency shutoff valves on your gas main. Absolutely right. Guys, I love you. I care about you. That's why we discussed it tonight. It's absolutely necessary. This is absolutely necessary. Guys, God will only protect you if you help protect yourself. God will help protect you if you protect yourself. Fact. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus Christ. I know they are real. If you don't know that yourself, start praying. Start praying yourself. Read the scriptures. Find a testimony of Jesus Christ yourself. If you have your scriptures, put a copy of your scriptures in your emergency preparedness kit. No, you don't have to keep going between your emergency preparedness kit in your bedroom or wherever you read the scriptures. You have an extra set of scriptures in your emergency preparedness kit. Okay? Guys, I love you. I care about you. I wouldn't even be here. I keep saying that over and over again, and I mean it. Please take this information I've given you today seriously. We're going to have a major emergency in Southern California very soon. It could happen sometime within the next 30 days. Be careful out there. Be careful out there. I love you all very much. Have a good night, guys. I love you. Take care of each other. Find a testimony of Jesus Christ yourself. Again, we take Saturdays off, but in case there is something else that happens. Yes, it does happen. If some other major incident happens tomorrow or tonight, we will be back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. Otherwise, we'll be here at just after 12:30 p.m. Sunday afternoon with Come Follow Me, the Savior Says, a weekly Sunday school class that we teach. If something else happens on Sunday after the Sunday school class, we'll come back on the air to talk about it. We will be back here Monday after 4 p.m. Monday afternoon. Have a good night, everybody. I love you very much. Take care of each other and have a great weekend. We'll see you a bit later. Heidi, thank you for helping us. Thank you for helping other people become members of this program here. God bless you, Heidi. Thanks a lot. Have a great night, great weekend, everybody. Much love.